Mr. S., I will do my best to provide you with what I recall from Mrs. Romanoff's case and my involvement in her care. The hospital was very busy that night. The attending physician was tied up in the OR for multiple hours with multiple different cases. He had stated he had been awake for over 24 hours. Multiple nurses were tied up as well and had not gotten a break in many hours, including not being able to eat. When the nurse assigned to the patient, Mrs. Romanoff, finally was able to talk to the attending physician, the area was noisy. It was filled with telephones ringing, other staff members discussing other patients' care, alarms, other nurses were hollering for the physician to come see their patient next, and so on. It was just not the appropriate setting to speak to someone about a concerning patient. Through all the ruckus, the nurse is finally able to express her concerns about the patient. The physician again got called away, and he asked the nurse to have me evaluate the patient, despite her overwhelming concern that the nurse felt it was over my qualification as a medical student and an attending physician needed to see this patient. Nonetheless, someone needed to evaluate the patient, and the attending physician was already off to another patient's room. Approximately 1 hour later, I took the patient's chart and entered her room. With her husband supporting her at the bedside, I saw the patient in a great amount of pain. I assessed the fetal monitoring tracing and ran out of the room and asked for the physician to be stat paged. 20 minutes later, the patient was being wheeled into the OR for cesarean delivery with many unanswered questions by both the patient and her husband. Mr. S., you state that you want to make sure something like this never happens again. Some of the main problems that may need addressed are basic safety issues within the hospital. No matter how good a nurse or doctor is, or how much experience they may have, they are still human and have room for error. There were many problems with Miss Romanoff's case that built up to lead to the final outcome. In my involvement personally, I could have seen the patient sooner than 1 hour's time than when the attending physician suggested I be the one to evaluate the patient. In the grand scheme of things, yes, the patient needed evaluated. However, if the nurse spoke so strongly that she felt the patient needed an attending's opinion, then I should have spoken up and backed the nurse up and advocated for the patient and said I did not feel comfortable assessing that patient. Additionally, I could have gone back and talked to the patient and her family and husband to tell them what I suspected was happening, why the doctor was all of a sudden emergently paged, and what possibly could be happening going forward.